So the idea if you're trying to pipette like solvents that are very volatile, when you pull them up, sometimes they don't stay in the pipette very well. And there are some tricks that you can use to mitigate these problems. But pipettes are really designed for water, for aqueous solutions. That's what they work well for. You can do things like you can draw it up and put it out repeatedly, and that'll cool the tip. And I found that can work okay for accurate delivery of volumes. Then it doesn't drip out quite as fast. But really, and there's some positive displacement techniques as well, but really for a lot of things you need to go ahead and switch to volumetric syringes. Here's a few different sizes. And your basic routine is that you take the syringe and you get it set up with rinse solvents. So these are dichloromethane, acetone, dichloromethane, and then this is a waste. And before, but more importantly after you use the syringe, you need to go through the rinses, at least 1, 2, 3 down the line. The idea is that this would have been contaminated using it in something, and then when you put it in here, it will contaminate this one a little bit because it itself had whatever you were analyzing on it. So you'll fill the barrel all the way up, put it into waste, and then this is mostly clean, but it might have a little bit of residue from that. So then you go down the next line and you do this. So now it's cleaner and then cleaner. And you'll alternate solvents because some contaminants that might be in there would be more soluble in different solvents. And the solvents you alternate are really up to you, whatever would be appropriate for cleaning out your syringe, except you always want to end the last one in whatever solvent you're using in the rest of the analysis, whatever the solvent in your standard is or whatever. So I've rinsed it, so the next thing you want to do to use it is you want to make sure when you pull it up you're going to get some air bubbles. So you want to make sure you pull it up and then push it out quickly. You pull it up sort of medium speed and then push it out quickly. Pull it up medium speed, push it out quickly. And that usually clears the air bubbles out the tip. And then you can pull it up slowly, really, you know, as slow as reasonable to a final volume. Now, it's true in this case and in many cases that you get an air bubble in there. So you clear it just like a doctor does, and I recommend this method here. I recommend flipping it up vertically, taking a chem wipe and putting it around there, and then pushing the air bubble out. Sometimes, if the air bubble is very small, you want to draw a bigger air bubble to join the air bubbles and then push them out together. Then you'll bring the syringe down to the line and go ahead and dispense. Generally, when you dispense, you'll dispense under the surface of the liquid that you're dispensing into, so that if anything is volatile in what you're putting in, it's trapped in the solvent and not spraying around in the neck of the flask. They come in different sizes. This one works pretty easily, as you've seen. This is the medium size. This would be a 100 microliter syringe. And it works about the same way. There's nothing super complicated about it. They come in lots of different sizes. These are 3 example sizes. And same thing, except they get progressively harder to clear the air bubbles. So you want to be a little more careful with these ones. Medium draw, hard push, medium draw, fast expel, and then slowly pull it up. If you're really careful, you can get no air bubbles. And this one's pretty good, but if you look really closely, there still is a teeny tiny air bubble in there. So the smaller the air bubble is, the easier it is to clear. You can just flip it up and it'll go up. Except the teeny tiny air bubbles are hard to get out there, so you want to pull in more air to expel it all as one big air bubble. At that point, you bring your face down. I think Lewis will do this for me. In line exactly with the level you're trying to measure from. You bring the plunger to wherever it is, and then you're done. Bring it over and inject it under the surface of the liquid, just like the other one. The last one is this one. Same thing. These are also, your technique is optional. The 2-finger technique is pretty good that I've been demonstrating. But you can also choose if you want to use a one-handed technique, and you can use 2 fingers on the plunger like that. If you're doing it a lot, you can try to master that. That's totally fine too. And when you go to use it, then this one, it's even more important to clear the air bubble because they get almost impossible to clear from this. And no, there's still a tiny air bubble. So little air bubbles here will clear the same way. But if I force an air bubble, sort of show you what it's like. An air bubble like that size is going to be almost impossible to clear. It just won't move as you flick it. So in that case, in this case where it's in the middle, you're hosed. You need to start over. You put it back in and get that expelled. If it's up by the barrel, some people will measure to the air bubble and then push the air bubble down. It's not an ideal situation, but you may have to do something like that. Just go ahead and leave the air bubble in. You'd measure from the bottom of the air bubble and then make sure the air bubble just goes to the top of the needle, which is actually right here, just back to the 0 line. But ideally, you would work hard to actually clear the air bubble here in this instance and not have one if at all possible. Or have the teeniest, tiniest kind like that you can actually go ahead and clear. There it goes. And then I always make the measurement upside down and dispense it into a chem wipe that can then be discarded. That's it.